She laughed like she owned the room, a glass of wine in one hand, a red dress clinging like a challenge, that same smirk, the one she always wore when she wanted to disarm or destroy, still alone. "I see," she said, tilting her head with mock sweetness, just enough to make it sound like a joke. I smiled, but only on the outside. She didn't know yet, not about her. Not about the way my new wife's fingers would slide quietly into mine, just seconds later. Not about the way silence would spread through the room like a spiderweb of cracking glass. She had no idea that when my wife stepped into that party dressed in black, like the final scene of a funeral, her perfectly manufactured world would rupture right down the middle, because my wife wasn't just anyone. She was her sister Dot, and in that instant, the very air in the room would stutter. Her lips would twitch, her glass would tremble slightly in her hand, and for the first time in years, she would be the one caught off guard, the one exposed. I had waited for that moment. For long years, every fake smile I gave, every party I refused to attend, every headline where she grinned beside him, every social media post that flaunted their forever love like a perfectly polished trophy, I watched, I remembered, and I planned. So I simply nodded at her smug little jab, like it meant nothing, because in just a few seconds, nothing would ever mean the same again. 4 years ago, I came home early. That was it. No dramatic scheme, no private investigator, lurking in shadows, just a wrong exit off the highway and a canceled meeting. And there they were, on my couch, laughing, too close, her hands still resting on his shirt, his belt still unfastened. She didn't flinch when I walked in, just blinked, like I was interrupting something casual, something normal. "Let's not be dramatic," she said, as if betrayal were just bad timing. He was older, wealthy, the kind of man who wielded silence like a weapon, sharp, loaded, final. He never had to explain a thing. She married him 6 months later. No apology, no closure, just that same, practiced silence. She took everything: the apartment, the friends we'd shared, the carefully curated narrative of who left whom. I let her. I said nothing, did nothing, because revenge doesn't rise in fury, it waits in stillness. It allows someone to believe they've won, long enough for them to forget you were ever a threat. Her sister messaged me 2 years later, a LinkedIn request, cold, distant, professional. She was launching a law firm and needed help with branding. I met her for coffee, then again, and again. We never spoke about her, never needed to. We worked, talked, sat through silences so long they felt like confessions. That's when I started to learn the family dynamic, how my ex had always been the golden child, charming, manipulative, a little cruel. How her sister had lived in that long shadow, forgotten, picked apart, used and discarded by every lie my ex ever told. Until me. Until the lines between coffee meetings and late-night conversations blurred. Until she cried, not because of anything I said, but because she saw me. Because I wasn't a project. I was pain. Pain that mirrored her own. We moved in quiet. No photos, no announcements, no tags, no likes. Let my ex believe I was still alone, still orbiting the wreckage she left behind. Until tonight. Until the moment my wife stepped into that party, and time fractured. Her black dress sliced through the room like a scalpel. Heads turned, conversations paused, but I only watched her, watch my ex's eyes narrow, watch her expression stumble, like her brain couldn't keep pace with what her eyes were screaming. "Meet my wife," I said, my voice low, even surgical. The pause between her inhale and her next word was too long, too loud. "Claire," she finally breathed. My wife didn't speak, just looked at her sister with that calm, unreadable face I'd come to know so well. The one she wore in courtrooms, the one she wore the night she told me how her sister had sabotaged her scholarship, her first real relationship, her confidence, her sense of self. How my ex asked, her voice cracking beneath all that practiced poise. I handed her the wedding photo, the one with no caption, no comments, no validation. Just a date 2 years ago. Her lips parted, but no words followed. Just silence, just realization. "You always said I was weak," I said, stepping a little closer, to passive, to forgiving. She swallowed hard. The entire room had fallen still. Not one person dared interrupt. I wasn't forgiving, I said quietly. I was watching. My wife's hand found mine again. Not possessive, just final. You built your life on lies, Claire said, her voice soft, almost tender. And you married him just to get to me. My ex snapped, her voice sharpening. With wounded pride, Claire's smile was the cruelest thing I'd ever seen. No, she whispered. I married him because he's everything you said he wasn't. And just like that, her world cracked. No shouting, no scandal. Just truth dropped like poison in a wine glass. And a room too frightened to take a sip. Later, in the car, we didn't speak. We didn't need to. Because revenge doesn't need volume. It needs balance. She left me broken. I rebuilt. She thought I'd stay small. I waited until she looked down. Then I stood taller. I didn't need her tears. I just needed her to see, to know. I turned the key in silence. My wife looked over at me. You okay? She asked. I nodded once. Because I was, and I meant it.